What made China develop so fast? It's the same thing that will make China win in the future, and it lays in brain power. But let me start from beginning and explain. So what is the real growth and why does it even happen? Real growth is actually very hard to calculate because data considered by most people as useful is actually very subjective. Let's take GDP for example. It stands for the gross domestic production. That means the value of all products produced by a certain country is counted in. But what if the most of value comes, for example, from real estate market that might be inflated? That means GDP is partially true and real growth is immeasurable because you always have to make some assumptions about the price of certain things. You never know when it's inflated or not. But how does it work that some countries develop way faster than others? So the thing that actually causes long-term sustainable growth is productivity. It's because the more productive society is, the more it can grow in a certain period of time. Infrastructure and real estate can actually increase productivity. Imagine how productive a homeless person can be. Probably more productive than most financial YouTubers, but still not much. At some point, overgrown infrastructure and too many houses can actually be bad for society because of the maintenance costs. And these costs are money and time. That means maintaining it drains productivity from the system. The same thing actually happens when you think about demographics. Imagine a society of 1000 people. 25% are too old to work, 25% are kids, so only 50% of society is actually productive citizens. They have to care about their kids and parents and also bring enough productivity into the system to keep infrastructure for 1000 people running and all do the work that is necessary for society to keep going. That means even if everybody from this 50% is working, he needs to do two people's work. Sometimes it's even worse because not everybody who is capable of work actually does it. And in France, for example, there is only about 37% of society in the working age group, so that's pretty harsh. That means there is too much pressure on the working group, and since they work all the time and life is hard even without children, they don't want to have none. The cycle continues because there will never be enough productive citizens, and the ones who work will always need to work hard to compensate. It's really tough situation because you can't just get rid of elderly people, children and infrastructure. But what you can do is bring more productivity into the system, and you can do it by introducing technology that makes the work of working group more effective. The group will be able to do more work in less time. An obvious example is ChatGPT, which you probably use. It simply saves you time and makes you X times more productive. Our technology progresses all the time, and it will finally bring so much productivity that our lives will get much easier, and we will have more free time eventually. That's the reason why humanoid robots will be groundbreaking technology that can actually mitigate demographic crisis consequences. But the final question is, why China develops tech so much faster? The answer lies in their hardworking society and their citizens. There is one important thing that you should know about inventions that actually push technology forward. Almost all of them are made by a very small group of people, the most intelligent specimens. The top 0.1% of society makes almost all inventions. So who has more of these people is actually winning technological race for glory. But how we can even count it? Look at this. This is graphical representation of the distribution of people by their IQ. The average IQ in the US is 98 and is represented by the line in the middle. The upper line at 140 is the threshold of intelligence that I would consider as people who may significantly contribute to inventions, manage companies and do other things that less smart people just can't pull off no matter how hard they try. This line is the actual average in China. It sits roughly at 105 points. That may seem an insignificant difference of only 7 points, but this data means that the whole graph shifts by 7 points. This doesn't cause any significant differences in the middle zone, but the change in the extremes is tremendous. Let's do the math on the 1000 people sample group. With estimated average of 98 IQ in the US and standard deviation of 15, we can calculate that there is 3 people with IQ of 140 in this sample, and if we use the same metrics for average 105 IQ for Chinese citizens, we find out that there would be 10 of extraordinary individuals in the same group. But it's still not everything. If you want to have an accurate image of situation, we have to also consider the number of people in each country. In US, the total population is 340 million, and in China it's 1.4 billion. If we multiply the number of people of these countries by percent of highly intelligent people, we find out that there are about 870 extraordinarily intelligent people in the US and about 14 million in China, which creates an insane proportion of about 16:1. That means in China there is 16 times more people that can actually push the boundaries of research in every field. Imagine 16 times more people like Elon Musk or Jensen Huang. This brings me to a conclusion that China will actually surpass US with its advanced technologies if we considered it still didn't, and the current world order will actually shift. US dominance is probably already over. I would even mark a specific date of contractual end of US hegemony as 23rd February 2024. It's the day when US announced confiscation of Russian assets due to war in Ukraine. And to be clear, I think it was justified and morally appropriate. But in the moment that US did this, it lost status of bigger brother that provides safety for other countries, investments. And from then on, the situation is getting even worse. US current moves look like desperate attempts to stay global leading power. But in reality, it's already too late, because it lost the technological, intellectual and industrial edge. For most of people, it may seem abstract, since US was ruling the world for a long time. But if you see what's happening in the world and you are open-minded, you clearly see that US fell back to being reactive, while China has proactive approach. To be clear, US is still a major global power to count with, and it for sure will be. But the trajectory of both is indicating that China will actually lead and increase its advantage despite all the steps that US can take on. The China's actually biggest setback is its incoming demographic downturn, but I believe it will actually be mitigated by certain technology and circumstances that China is already creating for itself. But on that in upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. I hope the knowledge I bring you will be useful. By the way, I'm giving away $1000 for researching stocks, so if you are interested, check the description down below. See you next time.